You are listening to WHCM 88.3 FM, Palatine, Illinois, a broadcast service of Harper College and its Board of Trustees. It is time for Streaming Verse with Nina and Chris here on WHCM. We have a fury of activity going on here. Woo, so many things are happening right now. Just want to remind you a couple things. The thoughts and ideas presented on the show are our own and not necessarily reflective of the opinions of WHCM Harper College or its Board of Trustees. It is December. It is cold, and Roselle Road does not have enough gas stations. North of Higgins, there's one gas station between here and there. Why? Why Schaumburg? Why Palatine? Get together, give us another gas station. It was cold. I had to get gas.
It's terrible.
I figure I always bring up traffic on this show, like Roselle Road. What's happening? So
that's true.
I even wrote it down on the topics we discussed already.
Did you really?
Because it's like I need to vent about Roselle Road.
That's incredible.
If you're listening, you could watch us as well. We are on YouTube Live. Look for the Harper Radio channel. Come join us in our chat on what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
But before we dive into our topic, let's talk about what we've been streaming. Nina, what have you been streaming?
Well, okay. First of all, when you said you are listening, I went, oh my God, just like Chris Evans.
Oh, you got nobody right today.
No, it's Penn Badgley. I'm apparently just not here right now. Yeah, anyways. So, was it last night? No, it was I don't know what night it was. Anyways, it doesn't matter. That's not important to the story whatsoever. I watched Abigail, which is on...
Isn't that scary doll movie? Is that one? No,
Sort
that's
of.
a vampire one.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So it's streaming on Peacock, and my roommate Bella and I watched it. We went in not knowing anything about it. We just saw... Well, we didn't even see the trailer, right? We just saw, oh, she's wearing a tutu. Oh, it's a horror movie. This looks awesome. Let's watch it, right? It's on the same playing field as Night Swim.
I would agree. I've seen it.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it. I loved it. It was awesome.
It was so amazing. Okay. It was crazy. So the first 15, 30 minutes, I can't gauge the time frame. We're sitting there watching it, and then my brother walks in. And keep in mind, we know nothing about this movie. Mm-hmm. And they don't reveal anything to you. They reveal something in the trailer.
Right.
But we hadn't watched those.
Yeah.
So Deegan comes in and goes, oh, this is about the vampire girl, right? And we go, what? She's a vampire? Obviously, that's not a spoiler because they do say that in the trailers, but it was a spoiler to us. And we were pretty annoyed. But then he sat down and watched it and was like, oh, that was really good. And we were like, yeah.
That girl was surprisingly good.
She was. I was like, okay, she's killing it. She literally... Okay, there's one sentence that I can tell you about this film that I think defines it all.
Okay. She
does 2 shanays. She does grunge tay, and then she kills someone. And it's so funny. And Bella and I, who grew up together dancing, are watching this this is crazy. It was awesome. Definitely recommend it. I don't know if it was supposed to be a dark comedy or not, but I thought it was hilarious, so.
Yeah, I kind of went with dark comedy on it to a degree because it was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And they picked her because she could dance. That's part of the reason that she was picked.
She's good.
Yeah. Yeah, she could actually dance. So they're like, we'll take her.
Yeah, makes sense. What have you been streaming, Chris?
I have been streaming this for weeks now, and I keep not mentioning it because I put it at the bottom of what I've been streaming, so it's been brought to the top.
Okay.
And I had to get an actual description of it because it's one of those sci-fi things where you're like, just watch it.
Right.
Okay. It's called Before, and it's on Apple TV with Billy Crystal. And when you think of Billy Crystal, you normally think of comedies. This is like a dark, what?
I thought you were talking about Billy Porter. I was like, jazz hands. Nope, never mind. Sorry. This is
no jazz
dark.
hands. When Harry Met Sally, the cowboy one, which I can't remember the name of it. Used to be friends with Robin Williams. Anyway.
Okay.
It is Let me read the description. Okay, after tragically losing his wife to suicide, child psychologist Eli Adler encounters a troubled young boy who seems to have a haunting connection to Eli's past.
Ooh.
So it's really creepy, but so interesting. I just
Yeah.
hope the payoff is good. So yeah, he's dealing with the recent death of his wife. And I won't reveal anything on that, but yeah, so she dies by suicide, and all of a sudden this little boy starts showing up at his house. And then he starts having
God.
issues, and the more you get into it, the more you find out there's connections between the two. And there's this picture of a cabin in the woods that he keeps seeing, and then it keeps showing up in other places. It's so
Ooh.
good. Highly recommend this. Billy Crystal is amazing. The little boy is amazing. I'm always impressed with kids who can act creepy,
Yeah.
because that's got to be hard for a kid.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd always watch, like, child actors, like, in horror movies, and I would just, like, if I would do one of two things if you made me do these things. I would start hysterically laughing and not stop, or I would get scared and start crying.
Right. Or get mad.
Yeah.
Because kids are great at being mad. They're great at being silly. Or crying, but they're not great at looking creepy. So I'm like, oh.
Because it's, sorry.
Will we be seeing these kids in the future type thing? Yeah.
Because it's, like, subtle.
Yes.
Like the, like,
right.
the head tilt.
Exactly. Yeah, because I have talked about this on other shows, but the Midwich Cuckoos, same thing. Those kids all look creepy, and this little boy doesn't look creepy all the time. He looks normal, but then he looks possessed, and then the Midwich Cuckoos, they were creepy all the time. 100% of the time, these kids were creepy. But in this one, he's all ranges. And he's really good.
Interesting.
Little boy's very good.
Wow.
Yeah.
He might end up like the Ki Hugh Kwan, the Indiana Jones little boy
Yeah.
who's now in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was great. Have you been streaming anything else?
I have so much on my list this week. I've been watching a lot and reading a lot, but I'm going to jump to this. I started watching St. Denis Medical because it's the
I thought Erin mentioned that one, right?
Yes, she did. And it's like a hospital office. Like filmed like The Office in Parks and Recreation, but it's following like a nurse. And I'm 3 episodes in. It's very funny. My mom said she tried to watch one episode and she was like, there's too much medical humor. I don't get it. But I got it, and I think it's hilarious.
That explains why Erin liked it. Why you like it, and I'll probably like it too. After our whole what are we streaming? Let's talk about my chart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So far, it's really funny. It's definitely, I feel like, leaning into the dark comedy side because I found myself laughing when I probably shouldn't be laughing. And I was like, wow, I'm really glad I'm the only one in this apartment right now because, other people would hear this and be like, she's crazy, which they're not wrong, but, no, I really enjoy it. I recommend it. It's on Peacock, which is a bummer because I have to sit through ads, but
Yeah.
that's a whole other thing. What else have you been streaming, Chris?
Well, and I've watched all of it. Thanksgiving,
Okay, yeah, exactly.
There's a new series on Netflix called The Madness. Good news, limited series. It's so funny. And I've mentioned this before on the show. 10, 15 years ago, I would have been like, oh, this should be shorter. Now you don't even have to mention it's limited in most situations because most of them are now, which is
It really
kind
is.
of nice as long as they end well.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the fact that Apple's doing that a lot now with the limited. Although sometimes they get renewed and I'm like, no, why did you renew this?
Right.
Anyway, so it's called The Madness on Netflix. And, I thought I was going to save his name. I actually had it. And it's not, his name is like Domingo something or Carmen Domingo or something like that. The Madness. He was he's the lead of this limited series, and he was in The Walking Dead, and he was amazing. Coleman. Is it Domingo or?
Domingo.
Yeah,
Nice.
Coleman Domingo. I was close. I thought I had copied it, but I didn't. But he plays a media pundit who has to fight for his innocence. I also copied this as well. After he stumbles upon a murder deep in the Poconos. But what's really fascinating about this is really about who's in charge. So as he is trying to fight for it, he goes, I think it's so-and-so did it. And he keeps trying to prove his innocent. And as much as he's dealing with the fact that people can just pin things on him because they're in control. They're like at one point he's, risking losing his job because of who's ever involved in this is basically has enough power to make people fire him.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean? So it's really interesting because if you watch it from like the point of view, because he's a black man, like if you watch it from that point of view, there's that take on it, dealing with people in color, blah, blah. And if you watch it for how come we don't get away with anything, but people who have money and power get away with everything. And if you watch it from that point of view, it's a whole nother level of,
right.
Could this have happened? Could this happen to any one of us if we were in the wrong place at the wrong time?
That's really interesting.
So I highly recommend it. And again, limited series, which makes it amazing to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, definitely amazing.
Let's get this over with. Let's watch
Yeah.
it, be done, move on to the next thing.
And only 8 episodes? That's great.
Yes. Yeah.
I love
and
that.
they wrapped it up nicely. I mean, it was good. Because the Midwich Cuckoos, which I finished, I did not like that last episode. I was not happy. This
Come
isn't working
on.
for me.
That's so unfortunate. Okay, I think we have time if I
Yes.
speak really
Okay.
quickly. So I watched It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas. Okay? I didn't remember ever seeing this before. They have Moulin Scrooge. They do a whole Moulin Rouge kind of parody within it. And
That's amazing.
it's amazing. Miss Piggy is Saltine. It's phenomenal. And I don't really remember much else. No, I do remember more of the movie, but it's very cute. But like that part, I was like, this is amazing. They had the windmill and everything. Like it was awesome.
That's
it was awesome.
That is
I loved it.
amazing.
All right, do we want to read?
Why don't we read a couple this break, and
Okay.
then next break we'll take a break.
Okay.
Do you want me just to stumble off? Oh,
Oh, do
you
can-
find
yeah,
something
okay.
to read.
Okay.
You're listening to WHCM 88.3 FM, Palatine, Illinois, a broadcast station of Harper College and its Board of Trustees.
Okay. This one's a little long, so I'm a little worried about this, so hang tight.
Buckle up.
Yeah, seriously. Did you know that Harper College has one of the top fire service-oriented programs in Illinois? This program will... Jesus. Cut. Okay. This program will prepare you for a career in the fire service and beyond. Classes are taught by local firefighters and are regularly updated to meet current industry standards. You'll be prepared for a position in firefighting as well as in fire prevention and investigation, hazardous materials, technical rescue, and much more. You can apply today at harpercollege.edu/academics under public service. That was the PSA that, did you want to?
Oh, sure. Thank you for handing me the notebook.
Of course. That was the PSA I had beef with the other time because I was like, this is not grammatically correct.
And just to really get under your skin, I'm going to read the shortest one in the book. Here.
Thanks.
All right. Are you and your friends looking for something to do after classes? Come out and support Hope. It doesn't matter that it's short. I
Karma.
can't read.
I can't read either. It's fine.
All right, take 2. Are you and your friends looking for something to do after classes? Come out and support Harper Hawks Athletics. Woo! Go to I can't say Harper. Why can't I say Harper? Harper. Go to harperhawks.net for a full season and schedule of each sport. Support our student athletes and go Hawks! That was amazing.
That was perfect. I wish I could simultaneously have the camera on both of us.
The best part was that you didn't know what it said, but you knew what it was.
No, I've read it before.
Oh,
I
you've
knew
read
what
it before.
said.
Okay.
No, we'll just pretend I didn't.
Okay, it'd be better that way.
Yeah,
The
sorry, my
Theater
bad.
of the mind.
Yeah, right.
All right, so thanks for staying tuned during those lovely PSAs, everyone.
So
we
good.
truly appreciate it. Just a reminder as we dive into this next topic, the thoughts and ideas are our own and not necessarily reflective of the opinions of WHCM Harper College and its Board of Trustees.
You're having trouble with that word today.
I know, Harper is just bleh. Just a reminder, you're listening to Streaming Verse here on WHCM with Nina and Chris. And you came up with this topic, so I'm going to let you describe it before I butcher it.
Great. I actually took a lot of time with this and wrote it down. Because in the moment now, if I didn't write anything down, I'd be like, well, shapes and colors, like, I don't know. Okay, so basically, if you're on YouTube Live, you can see in the title, if you can read, like we can't. We're going to talk about color in movies and TV, which, okay, I'm a very, like, visual person. I'm on a show called, talking about movies and TV shows, no way. But I just really like, God, I'm going to sound like such a film bro. I hate myself so much right now for this, okay? I'm sorry. Past Nina is, like, hiding in
Rolling
a corner.
her eyes.
Yeah. She's... Okay, but I really like the metaphors and the colors, like within the colors, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been that way, not necessarily within movies because I never thought of it. But the first thing you learn, and you learn to death in film school, is that there is no just in film, which is the most aggravating thing on earth because then you start getting on set and people are like, oh no, just throw that there, just throw
Right.
whatever. So I'm like, okay, but how real is that? But if you have someone who's like really invested in whatever they're doing, I understand it. But saying that is like no, like I
Yeah.
understand that. Like someone like Wes Anderson, I feel like takes a lot of time. Again, film bro. Sorry. Film bro has always mentioned Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson is also big on color in terms of like the tone he uses of the
Exactly.
film he uses.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I just really, I like it. And I found myself after taking a lot of like film courses, I find myself being like, like in my head, I'm like analyzing the scene and I'm like, oh God, I can't enjoy a movie anymore. Like this is so terrible. So thank you very much, John Gregg, for ruining my, just kidding. I love you, John Gregg. Please give me an A this semester. Thanks.
Sorry, I'm shaking my head because of my intro to film class because I took here at Harper, same thing.
Yep.
Ever since I've seen that, now I think about 8,000 things when I'm watching
Yep.
anything. It's like, interesting.
And I feel so smart, and then I want to say them out loud, but I'm like, this is what a film bro feels like. Because I want to say them out loud, but I know everyone will be like, oh, would she just shut up? Because that's how I felt like when my brother would open his mouth.
Right.
So I'm like, I know I'm annoying, but I just want to feel smart. Like, let me point this out. So basically, that's what this show is.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
And
I
I
did
don't-
not explain that very
I
well.
don't know if I went in that direction. I mean, I did because it's all color, but when you were talking, I thought of another example of color.
Well, we always go different directions, and they
Right,
always...
and that's good. But can I first thank you for bringing this topic up because I yet again get to talk about Lisa Frankenstein.
Yes. Yes.
So one thing I normally dislike in TV and film is when they don't put a lot of thought into this. When they do flashbacks, it's black and white. But it's not black and white with creativity. It's not black and white with
No.
the scene shots utilizing the shadows and the emphasis and the contrasts.
Chris is going all film bro on me. I'm scared.
And I couldn't even think of any examples. I even tried to Google thinking of examples when movies do that or TV. But it's like, let me think. And, the bubble of their thought is just black and white because it's the past.
Right.
And
Because it's easier.
it's easy. And I just don't like that. But in Lisa Frankenstein, they utilized that for the drug dream sequence because she had a spiked drink. But it's utilizing the shadows and they're dressed so that the black and white is more pronounced based on
Yeah.
what they're wearing, and her hair has the lightning bolts in them and the shadows and the makeup. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was on purpose and utilized that way. And in even more, not that the world was ever black and white. Like, I wonder, like, if little kids go, was the world in black and white before I was born?
I'm sure they probably do.
But, they're going back to when he was born, which is like the 1800s, a
Right.
character. So there wasn't even color at that time. Like, I will accept that there wasn't color at that time. Therefore, you don't use color.
Right.
But we had color in the 70s.
Yes.
They do not need to be black and white.
Yes.
Do something else or be creative about it.
Yeah. Well, and the funny where was I going? Oh, that's where I was going with this. I'm in a production design class, and we were talking about color theory, and I was like, oh, dear God, here we go. And we were talking about, like, oh, yeah, if you're doing a period piece, you have to, like, do research because certain, like, shades of colors, like, simply did not exist. And my mind was blown. I was like, what do you mean colors just didn't exist? Like, obviously, it's not all black and white. Like, there's colors, but, like, I was so confused.
Right.
I literally, my poor professor was probably like, there is something wrong with her, because I was like, like, can't you just, like, accidentally make a color? Like, someone must have accidentally made, like, turquoise or whatever and been like, well, I'm just going to keep this to myself. Like,
Yeah, but they probably didn't accidentally make it until later. That's, you know what I mean?
but,
Because the dyes were limited and people,
okay, yeah.
it was expensive.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to experiment too much, at least if you were poor, because it's like, nope, everyone has to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
This color blue has to be the same color blue. Not royal blue, not slate blue, not
Yeah. You just reminded me why, because I was like, what do you mean? And then he was like, well, dye is, like, expensive. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So this is really off topic, but in researching for this, I thought about it. And I don't know if either of you have looked into your parents' like yearbooks ever?
No.
They're black and white
Yeah, yeah.
because that's all they could afford. Color was so expensive that like in my high school, only the seniors were in color because they couldn't afford to have color pictures of anybody else.
My first couple yearbooks in elementary school are in black and white.
Right. Isn't that crazy though?
Cheapos.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay for color for any of that. I just think that's amazing.
That's
Because I remember when my son was going through my yearbooks, he goes, why are they in black and white? And I don't think he had them when he was younger. Like we didn't get them from his school, so he didn't know that. And it's
Yeah.
like, because that's all they ever printed out because color was too expensive. So
Yeah.
think about, like this was in the 70s and the 80s and
Yeah.
yours 90s or 2000s. Oh my God. No 90s for you.
No.
So, but that was in the 2000s.
Right.
So, yeah, they
Yeah.
weren't going to experiment with color.
No. I mean, color is still so expensive.
True. Yes.
I just had to put ink back in the printer. Oh my God, I almost had a meltdown at Target. I was like, why is this so expensive?
It's so true.
It's terrible. Oh my gosh. Do we have to take a break?
No, we have 5 minutes.
Oh my God, I miscalculated. Sorry. I'm, again, not here today. I apologize for that. Okay. Technicolor horror movies are so fascinating to me because they're contrasting everything, but also the history of horror movies ties in. It's like completely opposite. I can't word this correctly at all.
Okay.
But basically, there's a lot of horror movies out there because especially like a bit of time ago. Can I English? No, I can't.
Can I English?
I cannot. That's the answer to that. Because they were so cheap to make, because most of them took place in the dark, so the sets wouldn't be that intricate. They'd just like, oh, we'll just turn off the lights and it'll be fine. It'll be scary, whatever. Which is why a lot of horror movies end up being funny because they're cheaply made
Right.
and it's either funny or it's either really scary or it's just what? Like, hello? But the Pearl trilogy, which Erin was complaining once upon a time about Maxine, how she saw it and she hated it, which, oh, that's your opinion, but
Well, she hadn't seen the trilogy to know.
right. So it's Pearl, X, and Maxine, and they're all in Technicolor. So like you're watching the film and you're like, oh, this is so pretty, and then like she gouges someone's eyes out, and you're like, but it's so pretty, like what? Because it's just like your brain's telling you like la 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 la, and then you're watching it and you're like, oh, but it's like the two don't
Right.
mix.
Right, which is good. Like it's
yes.
when you're watching it because it's like, wait a minute, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's why some of like the jump scares work really well, because if you're anything like me, you're like pretty shapes, rainbows, woo, and then it's like, oh my god, okay. Great. Yeah, you're going to use the pitchfork to do that? Wonderful. Thank you. But I really like when things are like opposite, like that. Like it doesn't make sense.
Right. So your brain stays confused, which is when it's easy to scare you because you're so
Exactly.
confused.
Exactly. Which I spend a lot of my life confused. So maybe that's why I get scared so often.
Maybe that's why everyone in horror movies, like they all start out confused. Why
Yeah.
is the door open? Why is so-and-so lying dead on the floor? Like they're
Right.
confused and then they get jumped and attacked and the
Yeah,
bad guy.
they're just distracted by color.
Right. I'm confused.
Apparently they all have like ADHD or something.
Right,
'cause,
yeah.
You know, whoa, look at this.
How did that happen?
Yeah. I can't hear anything that goes on in this house. Like, I'm just going to stand over here and whatever. But yeah, that's, I will say this real quick. That's the thing that annoyed me with Abigail. The blood was like black. It looked like barbecue sauce, okay?
Oh.
Like it was brown. It looked like what dried blood should kind of look like.
Mm-hmm.
Not even. Like it's not that dark. But they didn't use like dark red.
That's an interesting choice.
Yes, and I thought it was disgusting. I thought it was even more disgusting than like
Bright red, because it
Bright
would have been
red.
pretty.
exactly. So yeah, I really did not like that.
Well, I have a whole Technicolor thing to talk about too.
Oh my god.
So why don't we take a break?
Yes.
Play some PSAs. You're listening to Streaming Verse here on WHCM, and we'll be right back after these messages.
This is Matt Muffin from Lollygag, and you're listening to WHCM, the only place to get your bread buttered.
Hey everyone, it's Keith Maurice, and I want to let you know that you are listening to the award-winning WHCM 88.3 FM, Palatine, Illinois, a broadcast station of Harper College and its Board of Trustees.
I'm Dr. Anthony Lazarowitz, and this is Climate Connections. In some areas of the U.S., solar and wind farms generate a large percentage of the electricity on the grid. But in other areas, the grid remains much more reliant on carbon-polluting fossil fuels.
And the bottom line is that the carbon impact of turning on a light switch in one part of the country can be very different from turning on a light switch in another.
Winston Vaughn is the head of climate policy at Clearloop, a solar development company. He says building new solar and wind in the areas where grid electricity is dirtiest can provide greater benefits for the climate. And it can bring health and economic benefits to communities that have been burdened by fossil fuel pollution.
Understanding the inequities of the carbon grid and working to address them is a great opportunity to really maximize both the social and environmental impact of our clean energy investments.
So Clearloop is helping develop solar farms in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana, where renewable energy development has been slow. To pay for the projects, Clearloop partners with large companies eager to invest in clean energy as a way to offset their own climate impact. Vaughn says it's an approach that focuses not only on creating more renewable energy,
but building it in the places where it can do the most good for our climate and for local communities.
Climate Connections is produced by the Yale Center for Environmental Communication. To learn more about climate change, visit climateconnections.org.
Hey, this is Big Mike.
Go away.
Is that Big Mike?
Go away, Big Mike. don't want any. Hi. You're listening to Streaming Verse with Nina and Chris here on WHCM. And we're getting a little punchy. That happens sometimes on this show. And
Yeah.
tonight we are talking about color and the use of it in films and TV. And I stopped being able to hear myself. I don't know what just
I can
happened
hear
there
you.
for a second.
No,
okay.
I can't. It's because I'm in the same room as you. I got you back now, though.
And Nina brought up the use of Technicolor in horror films.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you picked this topic, and I
Yeah.
know you mentioned Technicolor, I was wondering if it's because we saw Wicked too.
I was going to talk about Wicked.
But
That's okay.
I'm
You can talk.
no, but I'm going to talk about The Wizard of Oz.
I've never seen it. I knew you were going to have that reaction. I know. I've never seen it.
You
Caroline?
can't appreciate
Caroline? Have
Caroline,
you ever seen
have
it?
you ever seen?
Oh.
Thank you for judging her with me
No,
because
no,
that's
no,
a judging
no.
laugh over there. You cannot
thought she
truly
was-
appreciate Wicked unless you've seen The Wizard of Oz.
I know what happens.
Nope. You don't. All the flying monkeys. All the flying monkeys are in the original one.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. Listen. I grew up in a household where my mother hated The Wizard of Oz. She said it was stupid, so I never watched it. I've seen The Wiz.
You are in film school. You need to watch The Wizard of Oz. Okay.
I know.
Everyone join me in my dissertation on The
Okay.
Wizard of Oz. So, while it was not the first film to use color, it was one of the ones that made a point of how they used it. So,
Right.
it was 1939. It was not the first example of color, but they used the 3-strip color process, which was not
Oh,
typical for
yeah.
their color. Yeah.
I learned
So
about that.
3 layers of color. That was one of the first films to do all this, and
Yeah.
all the time spent on this, and it was the dream sequences. So her
Mm-hmm.
life in Kansas was in black and white, which was the norm for film at the time. But The Wizard of Oz was in Technicolor, which of course made it even more beautiful, which if you look at the new movie Wicked, they're kind of doing the same thing in terms of how vibrant Oz is. Oz is just amazingly vibrant. But I'm going to read a couple things here because it's really interesting. The 3-strip color process wasn't a type of color film. Instead, it's a process in which specifically modified motion picture camera is recorded at the same scene through colored filters on 3 different strips of film.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And then they're layered on top, right?
So super expensive. It was like
Yeah.
hugely expensive to do this. Yes. These strips are then processed separately and used to print colors into the finished print of the film sent to theaters. If a movie studio wanted to make the film in Technicolor, it had to lease the company's unique movie cameras as well as a team of 2 experts to help operate the complicated machine. It was super expensive too, because
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Well, what's the big deal?" And that wasn't the first. It's like, but what they did was different, being like
Yeah.
Technicolor. The film was not the first to utilize color, but the way in which the film was saturated with Technicolor provided that the color could prove a magical element to fantasy films
yeah.
and horror films, as we've learned in this show. This film is iconic for its symbols such as the yellow brick road, ruby slippers, Emerald City, Munchkins, the phrase "there's no place like home," and then it became a global phenomenon. But its use of color was just amazing at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and people who had watched it growing up would know that.
I'm sorry, but blame my mother, okay? I watched The Wiz, and that was like 3 hours long. But the color in that's a lot darker. The tone is
Yeah, the
a
tone
lot
is darker. Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
Um,
Who was in The Wiz? Was that Michael
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 Jackson.
Jackson? It's okay. I'm going to refer to Steve Dahl. This was the funniest thing he said, and it has stuck with me. Steve Dahl used to be a DJ here in Chicagoland, and he has a podcast. One of his boys was in a version of The Wiz.
oh no.
An all-white school.
Oh, no.
The Wiz. This was like in the
No.
90s. And he goes, yeah, come to Lyons Township for the all-white version of The Wiz.
God.
I
You
never
can't
forgot
do
that because it's
that.
so funny. I mean, but he said, even at the time, he said it at the time. He's like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Do The Wizard of Oz then.
Right,
Like,
exactly. But no.
My God. That's like, there was this one time I went on this Alice in Wonderland themed scavenger hunt with my family, and you were encouraged to dress up. So, like, we dressed up. And we were walking around, and we walked past this theater. I don't know where we were. And some guy was like, "Oh, are you in the play?" And I looked back at the play, and it said it was Dreamgirls. And I looked at him, and I said, "No." And he was like, "Oh, okay," and walked away. I'm like, "What?"
Not I.
No, like, that would be awesome, but no, I'm no.
Nope.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Wicked just because I wanted to say pink and green look good together.
Yes.
And it does. And I'm also, I won't give any spoilers because, some of our viewers haven't seen it yet.
The only spoiler I've been giving is it ends in Defying Gravity, and
That's
there's a
not a
part 2 because
spoiler.
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
You
it was-
didn't-
I
oh,
didn't know.
oops.
I saw at the beginning. It goes part 1. I'm like, huh.
Wait, you
That's
didn't.
interesting.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought I said. Never mind. I must have said that at the end.
It's no
maybe.
big. At the end, I realized it was
yeah,
only
yeah.
part 1. Yes, but at the beginning, I was like, huh. Why does it say part 1? And at the end,
Yeah.
I went, this is why.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It was still amazing.
Yeah, I know, but it's so long. It's longer than the
The
musical.
I know. It's not enough time to tell the story. It's like the musical did.
Yeah, the musical did. And it was better. Sorry. Love the movie. But yeah, the production design on the movie is just, oh my God.
It is amazing.
Oh my
The Emerald
God.
City, the green in it is amazing.
Yes.
It is really
I
amazing.
want to be there. Okay, but that's all I'll say about that. No, I was going to say something else.
About Wicked or about
Yeah.
color?
No, about Wizard of Oz. I just watched a video of when they do I don't know what she walks through because I've never seen it. She walks through some doorway, which from the black and white to the color. Apparently, okay? I mean, this makes sense. They did it in one take because it's a stand-in, and then she walks through.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't know why it's cool because I've never seen it, but
You should watch it sometime. Just
I
hunker
need
down
to.
and watch it. I mean, again, because you're a film student and it's cinematic history. I mean, you don't have to like it even, but
No,
watch
I know.
it. And like I said, it's just interesting to appreciate, they used color to tell the story versus, again, I think sometimes we forget now about color. Because even though you mentioned, everything's on purpose, it isn't always. TV shows, it isn't always. Sometimes it's just whatever. One of the things I was fascinated about the movie Contact, which I've now seen a million times. Have you ever seen Contact?
No.
It's a really good film. They actually just showed it here in the Harper Cinema. The new Harper Cinema a couple weeks ago. In fact, there's a film series going on right now. Go to the Harper College website and look for the film series, free movies on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. You have to get the rest of the details on your own because I'm just spewing that out from memory. But the use of red is predominant throughout the whole film. Spoilers abundance, but this movie's been out for a million years. So when her father's die, she's wearing a red coat. Something else happens, she's wearing a red coat. And she has a necklace that has a red stone in it. But at the other points, when her other character in the movie, he's wearing a red tie. And then it's almost like when she's protecting herself and comforting herself, she's wearing red. When someone else is looking out for her, they're wearing red.
That's so sweet.
Throughout the whole movie. It's amazing.
That's so sweet.
And of course, every time I watch, I'm like, oh, more red. There's more red.
Yeah.
And that can't be on accident.
No.
That,
I
like
mean,
you said,
Yeah.
it could be like one or two, but not
but
that
no.
much.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the use of color in film is just even, and like you said, it makes you feel smart. It's like,
Yes.
I noticed this. In fact, for my religious studies class, I wrote a book on, because Contact's also about faith. So,
Oh, okay.
So I wrote about the use of the
okay.
color red.
That's amazing.
I'm like, I'm so smart.
Yeah.
Because I already took intro to film. I know if I'm going to write about a movie that I need to use some of the motifs that were used.
Yes. That's awesome. That is so awesome. I just had a thought in my head and it just ran away. No, that's what I was going to say. Going back to Wizard of Oz, Wicked, Wicked cinematic universe. 'Cause that's really what it is now, I
True,
guess.
it is.
Everyone online is like, but that didn't happen in the book. I'm like, okay, I'm so that person, like, always. Sorry. I hate that about myself, but I will always be like, that book's better than that movie. Like, I'm so annoying. Just tell me to shut up. But, like, the Wicked book is crazy. It's really good.
Really crazy. I haven't
But
read
it's
all of
really
it, but I've read the
crazy.
beginning of it. I'm like, whoa, what am I
Yeah.
in for here?
It gets gay. Yes. So here for it. It seems like it's right in front of everyone's faces, though, because they're not straight. Let's be real. No, but okay. Back to what I was saying. I get off track really quickly. The color green in Disney movies, what I did grow up watching,
Yes.
okay, is literally represents evil. Like, that's what it's supposed to represent. Maleficent, it's like fog, it's like steam, I don't know what it is. Her magic.
Her vapor that she makes or whatever.
Yeah, like, what do you call that?
I
Like,
don't know.
it's just kind of,
Essence?
yeah, it's just kind of there. Her vibes.
Her vibes.
Her vibes are green. Evil Queen, same thing. The apple,
Yep.
the drip, the poison's green. Like, everything's green. So then, is Elphaba in Wizard of Oz? I know she's referred to as like the
Wicked Witch, yeah.
the Wicked Witch of the West.
I think she's the West. Her sister's the Wicked
Look
Witch
to
of
the
the
western
East.
sky. Got
Yeah.
it.
She's also green, which was a decision that they
Yes.
made. It was not in the book,
Right.
but yes, they made a decision to make her green for the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which-
It's not as green, of course, but
Yeah.
it's green.
And it makes me wonder, because you said 1939. That's around Snow White time.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. Oh, that's
So
true.
why was the universal color of evil green?
Right.
When green now, I feel like red is the evil color. That might just be my opinion, though.
Because even in The Great Gatsby, green is money,
Yes, but also my
but
green
money
light.
is evil. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but
Yes, but
What?
sorry. I love Great Gatsby, but also Scott Fitzgerald is a complete whatever. His wife literally wrote the book, and then he was like, "Oh, but that's mine."
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay, man.
But I'm not saying that it's good. I'm saying that it's also evil, though.
No, I know, but I'm saying that Gatsby refers to Daisy as his green light.
Oh,
But it's also like he can't have her,
right.
but it's a distant. I'm gonna cry. I love that. I say musical like it's the only medium it's in. I love that book by Zelda Fitzgerald.
Okay.
But yeah, too, it's like something's out of reach that. So, but now you think about the color green, and I'm like, oh, it's my favorite color. It's relaxing. It's chill. It's like,
Yeah, right. I don't think of it that way in real life, but when you put symbolism behind it, yes.
Star Wars. Star Wars, the red lightsaber, that's when the change happened. Luke Skywalker has a green light, or is it blue?
I don't know.
I don't know. The good guys are green and blue, and Darth Vader has red. So does Kylo Ren. That is when the switch
That makes-
happened. I don't make the rules.
I just follow them.
I just discovered that all on my own, guys. I'm so smart. Oh my god.
Okay, another realization has just come through.
Yes.
Share.
I don't know if I can.
Okay. I don't know for you.
I'll just say it anyway. Why not?
I'm worried that you would say a bad word. No bad
No,
words.
no, I'm not saying a
Okay.
bad word. It's just really interesting to me in Star Wars how the good guys are blue and the bad guys are red. Isn't that
Yes.
interesting?
I think I'm supposed to be picking up something you dropped, and I can't. I
Ye-
don't know what you dropped. Like, I don't get what you're saying.
Okay,
I don't know.
Okay. I'm not going to explain it.
Okay.
I'll explain it to you later.
Thank you. I have another color thing.
Okay, perfect, because I'm just rambling now.
The movie The Holdovers was
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
I've never seen it, but yeah.
You never saw it? Did you even see the commercials for it?
I walked in on my parents watching it with my brother. They like watched it like no, my dad and my brother went to go see it in theaters. Then they came back and it was already streaming, so then they watched it right after that.
Okay.
So I walked in, but I was like, whatever.
So instead of making it black and white, because they made a movie about the past. Now, this is a 2023 movie that was made to look like the 70s. And they have these techniques that they use to wash the film to make it look like it was made in the 70s.
Oh, I really like that.
So they used it to look like the technology that was available to them in the 70s. So, all right, again, I had to print all this out to make sure I could actually redo this. To make the film look like it was actually made during the 1970s, Alexander Payne hired Egil Bird, I can't pronounce that last name, to serve as cinematographer and camera operated. Being selected, he goes, we want to make this the spirit and the essence of the 70s. Breaking away from your studios, like that's what was going on in the 70s, breaking away from the studios. And all the DPs of the period that I really admired would push the film stock, or they would do handheld or whatever. So, you know, they're trying to get out of more traditional filming. And then he started thinking, he goes, this is what this would really be good for. Both digital and film formats were tested prior to filming, but then they decided to shoot the film digitally with an Arri Alexa, sorry to all those with smart devices at your house, with a Panasonic H series lens, particularly a 55 millimeter lens, which gave it the vintage portrait look. So in addition to like the way they make the film look, it's the lens looking more, you know, that way as well. So it was just really interesting because when you watch it, you really feel like you're watching a film that's from the 70s.
That's so cool.
And then at the same time, it's kind of like Somewhere in Time, which is a weird reference to throw out, where when he sees something he's in the past, when he sees something from the present, it pulls him out of the past to the future. So I was watching The Holdovers the whole time going, is there anything from nowadays in there? Like, is anything accidentally left somewhere?
Yeah.
Like to go, nope, see, it's really now. But everything they're really good. Like you said on set, you have to really think, did they have that color then? You know, what ashtrays, like everywhere had an ashtray in the 70s. Like that's what we made in art class was ashtrays for our parents. You know, could you imagine that now?
That's crazy.
You know, your little 10-year-old coming home, Mom, I made you an ashtray. Be like, no one's supposed to smoke anymore. What are you talking about? You know,
what do you mean?
But we did it all the time. Here's an ashtray.
It's crazy.
It's so weird.
That's crazy. You would be a really good script supervisor. That's really off topic, but you would be a really good one. So you'd be like, nope, that's not supposed to be there.
Nope.
Get it
that
out.
doesn't work.
Yeah. The last thing I was going to say was talk about Poor Things, because I will take any excuse to talk about that movie. I love it.
I get that.
I love it. Yeah, Lisa Frankenstein, yeah. It's so colorful. I think that's one of the reasons why I love it. But then, me being me, I'm like, why is it so colorful? Well, because you associate a lot of colors most of the time with childhood. I mean, depending on how your childhood was.
True.
You associate like a lot of colors, like the reds, the primary colors,
Right.
with childhood. So that's why I think it's so vibrant, because it's not her childhood, but it is her childhood.
Yes.
Because again, it's like a Frankenstein situation.
It is very Frankenstein, yes.
It literally is.
Yes. Because she's a baby spoilers, putting in an adult body.
Yeah. That's not really it happens right away.
It's true.
It's fine.
Like, it's kind of the plot.
Yeah, really, it's kind of like Abigail, just,
Right.
read the plot synopsis and figured it out, but no.
Right. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way, but you're right, because either you're learning about primary colors when you're a kid, or you're painting in art class.
Right.
And life is simpler, so you're not looking past, like, your worldview. Your worldview is much shallower.
Well, yeah, when you're like
So-
a kid, what is it? Until you're I took child psychology here, and I don't remember the exact age it is, where you realize that, like, when things are out of your sight, object permanence. I don't know when that sets in, but I always wonder if my cats have that, because then that's what I cry about sometimes when I'm away from them at night. I'm like, do they know that I'm still
think
here?
they do.
Do they think that they left me?
They don't have it for long,
No.
but they do have it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why my cats want to go in the stupid garage all the freaking time.
That's true.
Especially when it's 10 degrees out. No, because then I can't shut the garage door all the way.
Right.
Then they come back in, and then I'm trying to heat the garage.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a whole thing in the winter.
Yeah,
Me,
no.
the cats, and object permanence.
Yes.
That's a weird thing with babies.
Yeah.
So with object permanence, when they realize they're both their hands.
Oh my God.
That's like, you don't think about, like, oh, I have to know what parts of my body are. But they literally don't know. Babies are like, what is that?
Yeah.
It's your own hand. They don't
Well,
know. And then when they
yeah.
touch their hands, it's like, oh, I'm in control of both.
Yes. Okay, we talked about this in my production design class. I don't know why, but we were talking about babies and how, or like kids in general, and about how, like, they're literally just like tripping, not like falling, but like they're basically like on drugs. Like, your brain has the same reaction to if you were to like take drugs now than you did as a baby, because you're taking in so much new information, you're learning so much new things, like oh, synapse.
Right, yeah.
Like, you're trying to process everything, that they're literally like tripping. So he's like, whenever you see like a kid just like walking around falling into stuff, it's because they're tripping. And we just thought it was so funny, because we're like, oh my God, that's true. But like, that's just so weird.
It's a weird way to think of it, but it makes sense. It's
But
true.
it makes sense, yeah. So like, you think about like poor things, like watching that kind of felt like that. You feel like you're on
True.
something watching that. 'Cause it's strange and a bit jarring at times, and you're like, what? Like, is this okay? Like, can she do this? Like,
So actually, that sounds like a good subject to have
It
our
is.
positive thought of.
okay.
Because one of the things you can do to help yourself, in terms of like anything you can do to help yourself as you age, to fight dementia, to fight being stagnant, is to build new synapses. So
Yeah.
learn something new.
There you go.
Put yourself outside of your comfort zone and try something new. Even if it's just trying a new food item. If you're a picky food eater and you'd never try a new thing, that would be you, Nina. You need
No.
to do it. Or try a new hobby or take a new path somewhere. Because
Yeah.
you're building new synapses every time you do that. And you definitely should do that your whole life. And again, in some medical documents, that is a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
to help fight dementia.
That was really good.
So there's your life thought for today.
Your life thought for the other week has been really helping me.
Oh, I'm
Stuff for your
glad.
future
Do it
self.
for your future self. It's so
It's great.
I can't believe. Ever since I've started that, I've been building on it with other things too.
Yeah. I know. I told my roommate about it because she said, "Oh, I should really get this homework done, but I don't really want to." I was like, "Your future self will thank you," and she's like, "You have a good point." And I was like, "Chris told me."
Well, thanks everyone for listening to Streaming Verse here on WHCM. We'll be back. We're always here Thursdays at 7 p.m. You can catch a replays Mondays at 7 p.m. And keep it tuned to WHCM.